Hi, and welcome to another episode of Guys Like Us Don't Die on Toilets, a Lethal Weapon retrospective. Today we'll be discussing Lethal Weapon 3. So, this is Jake again. We're back to discuss the merits of Lethal Weapon 3. Grab your cats, kids, because it's going to get a little wild. We have with us today a familiar voice of Geek Out fame. The Riggs to my Murtaugh, or the Murtaugh to my Riggs, depending on who you're talking to. I don't really need to do a huge introduction because we've heard it all before on Geek Out, but a dear friend of mine, and more importantly, the only guy who wanted to talk about Lethal Weapon 3, which shows you just what kind of friend he is, Samuel Stone. Welcome.
Hey, how's it going, Lethal Weapon fanatics? I think the big reason, one, you needed somebody for 3.
Yeah.
And 2, this is honestly the first Lethal Weapon movie I remember seeing like advertising and stuff for.
Yeah.
Because it was like, 92? So I was
Mhm.
like, I guess 6 years old.
Yeah.
I had enough bandwidth and perspective to see all like the posters. And I do remember like the poster in the main marquee poster out in the lobby with the motorized Leo Getz.
Yeah. Well, the cool thing about this one is that I think just the general public, Lethal Weapon, I mean, after this massive success of Lethal Weapon 2, everyone was like geared up for Lethal Weapon 3. You know, they were ready to see what was going to happen next.
I think it's like the most commercially successful
yeah, I mean,
of the Lethal Weapon
it
movies.
wouldn't surprise me. I haven't checked the exact gross and everything yet, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was, because we were talking about the whole like Thunderball was massive in part because of how big Goldfinger was, you know.
Episode 1 was massive, guys. Shit movie, but it was
Massive. Yeah. Episode 2, though, is the inverse, where they're like, maybe not so much.
It's the weakest performing live-action Star Wars film to date.
So what we kind of did with this one is, this is the most fresh we'll have a Lethal Weapon movie. Because like with Lethal Weapon 1 with best good friend Kevin, we watched it the night before. With Mike for Lethal Weapon 2, we watched it a couple days before that and took extensive notes on that one to be prepared. For this one, I took a couple notes just for fun. But we really don't even need them because we actually just finished watching the movie.
Yeah, kind of.
About a couple minutes ago.
Here in the Geek Out with Chris.
Yeah, that's right. Good old Chris. Yeah. But so here's some fun things about the movie is like the beginning of this movie, because Lethal Weapon 3, out of the 4, most people you talk to.
It's like I enjoy the film.
Yeah, it's enjoyable.
Put that out there, but I do think it's like the weakest Lethal Weapon.
It
film.
is the weakest, and it starts off with like this really weird James Bond-esque opening, which makes it feel nothing like a Lethal Weapon movie.
Yeah, it's got like the.
And the funny thing is, it's not like Lethal Weapon 2 was this. Hang on 1 second here. Oh yeah, it made more. Yeah, so this movie made $321 million at the box office. To Lethal Weapon 2, I think was $250 million.
Right.
So
kind of surprising it took so long to greenlight a sequel for Lethal Weapon.
Seriously,
4.
because
I guess Gibson was busy with like Braveheart and stuff.
Well, yeah. Well, Braveheart's 95.
Yeah, and Maverick.
Yeah, but let's see. So yeah, I mean, you get this weird James Bond opening, and the funny thing is, James Bond wasn't like James Bond was a threat to the Lethal Weapon franchise, because when Lethal Weapon 2 came out, it destroyed License to Kill.
License to Kill was easily like the weakest performing James Bond film at that time.
Yeah, it's so much so that
still.
So much so that you will not see a James Bond movie in the summer because of how much of a shellacking it took in 1989.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, there was also Indiana Jones: Last Crusade and Ghostbusters 2.
Yeah,
and Back to the Future Part 2
and Batman '89. Like, it's massive. But I mean, and again, License to Kill is my favorite Bond movie. But like, yeah, I mean, it had some stiff competition.
Certainly my favorite '80s Bond film.
Yeah. But
here's a question.
Yeah.
Lethal Weapon 2 or License to Kill?
Ooh. Why you do this to me, Damien?
I know we're supposed to talk about 3, but
no, that's fine.
Put that out there.
Lethal Weapon 2 or License to Kill?
Yeah. Because I know if I said Batman
just crushes
Batman
all.
would win for you. And I know if I said Ghostbusters 2, you wouldn't give a fuck about Ghostbusters 2.
Get the fuck out of here, Ghostbusters 2. Fuck you, Ghostbusters. Hey, Ghostbusters 2, come here. Let me fuck
I know
out
you,
of here.
and I know you. That'd be a reaction for Back to the Future Part 2.
No, I'm not as harsh. Back to the Future. No, and I like Ghostbusters 2.
Really, I'll take Ghostbusters 2 over Back to the Future Part 2.
I mean, they're fine movies. I mean, the thing is, I take Indiana Jones.
3.
I take Last Crusade over Lethal Weapon or License to Kill. But would I take License to Kill over fucking Lethal Weapon.
Well, it's interesting because like
my gut is Lethal Weapon 2.
sure, yeah.
And that's not just because we're doing a fucking podcast called Guys Like Us Don't Die on Toilets, but
Guys like us don't die on
no,
toilets.
we don't. Yeah, if I invite you on this podcast,
Though I would say
we're
I'm
safe.
probably the most likely to die on a toilet.
That's true. We'll leave it to the imagination on that one, but yes, just knowing you, it's true. But yeah, we get one of the things that's great about the Lethal Weapon films as we're going through is the great openings.
Yeah.
This one has
After the musical number.
after the weird musical number that basically you just follow a fire that makes a 3, or it literally just could have been Lethal Weapon 3. Na, 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 and like fine, there's a budget save because we didn't spend weeks burning a 3 into the ground. Sorry, but I'm not bitter at all about the stupid Bond opening of this movie that doesn't need it. It could have just been block letters, Lethal Weapon 3 with a big red, chalk, line over. Anyway, so you get this massive opening in terms of they blow up a fucking building.
An actual fucking
building. Like there's no CG, there's no trickery. They blow up a building that was scheduled for demolition.
Yeah, the old city hall of the city of Orlando.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and we get our Riggs and Murtaugh showing up. And
Riggs does say he loves that job.
He does,
albeit a lot more quietly than he does in the beginning of Lethal Weapon 2.
And we're informed that Murtaugh is at the time, I think, when the movie starts, 6 days away from retiring.
8.
Is it 8 days at the beginning? Okay.
Yeah, and then it just continues down as the film goes on.
So, yeah, 8 days from retirement. He doesn't want any of this shit. And
he's too old for it.
Yeah. But Riggs is back to his old crazy, let's have a lot of fun, while we almost blow up,
Yeah, he's trying to finally quit smoking.
Yeah. Which he kind of like almost alludes to in the end of 2, because like, these things will kill you. And instead of sending in the bomb squad, yeah, you get Riggs and Murtaugh. Mostly because Riggs
they're on their way.
Yeah. But I mean, his thing is like, we got it. There's no bomb. So we got it. And clearly they don't, because 2 things happen. They find a cat, which is important. And they find a cat and a dog in this movie. They find a cat, and they are looking to cut the wire. And I think this is the beginning of Danny Glover doesn't get enough credit in these movies in the first place. But his fucking facial reactions and his like, repeating himself after everything.
Yeah.
What? Bomb? What bomb? The red wire. You said blue wire. Is in top form. Is grade A in this scene, because you get basically, of course, Riggs cuts the wrong wire.
Yeah.
The clock starts ticking, or the timer goes off a little faster. The immortal lines, which only mean anything to this podcast. Hey, Raj, grab the cat. And then you watch them run out and go, go, Raj, fire. And just the entire fucking building collapses and explodes in chaos.
Yeah. The movie starts basically with them failing.
Yeah. And what we get is they return to them being basically beat cops.
Yeah.
And we also get the man bun of Mel Gibson.
20 years before it's cool.
That's right. He's the trendsetter indeed.
Also, last film where we get mullet Riggs.
Yeah, which is kind of sad, man. Which is kind of sad because that's kind of like part of it. That's as
where
much,
it started.
That's as much as Lethal Weapon as Danny Glover or Mel Gibson. But we get also in this one, we kind of get more of where the first one is arguably the most serious. The second one is a great balance of both until the third act, which Mike and I talked about how kind of serious and almost totally genre changing that could have really been if they ended up killing Riggs. This one, do you feel like is super? It really kind of goes for humor more than over story in this one.
It's the Star Trek 4 of the series.
There it is.
In that they're like, oh, people seem to like, their natural comedic timing and chemistry.
Yeah.
Let's make this kind of more of a. Let's not see angry dark Riggs, though. Interestingly enough, I feel like their dynamic is kind of reversed, because a lot of it is Roger dealing with like both his age, his impending retirement, and what happens to his son's best friend.
Which is true. Yes, in the movie, we're gonna jump all over the place because it's. I'm
going to assume you guys at home have seen Lethal Weapon 3.
Because it'd be boring to go fucking scene by scene, but. Yeah, so basically we get this idea, again, Lethal Weapon 2 being kind of conscious of social issues. This one's dealing with very much the idea of cop killers in terms of, new bullets out there that are armor-piercing bullets. And also the idea of this gang culture infiltrating, the suburban areas, because we get Roger's kid befriends. I think his name's Nick. No, Nick's there's the son. I can't remember the name of the buddy that's killed. Nick's buddy, but. Yeah, Roger kills one of Nick's friends in a shootout, like a fair shootout. It's not like some vengeful thing or whatever. But we basically get, Roger, for a chunk of the movie, is on his boat, the Code 7, which means meal break.
Oh. And he's like
drunk.
Yeah.
And miserable. But
it's interesting because we see, like Gibson's like, hey man, watch out.
Like it's his turn, which is a nice scene. Like, they get the two of them embracing and crying together, or whatever. But the thing,
Riggs finally articulates how much that, like, being with Roger has saved him.
Yeah, and again, going back to the end of the first Lethal Weapon, and the idea that when Roger retires, Riggs is like, I got nothing left. Like
he's not up for retirement.
Yeah, because you're what in the timeline of Lethal Weapon, there's an 8-year gap in age. Well, no, I'm sorry. There's an 8-year gap in Mel Gibson playing Riggs. But I guess in the first one he's 38 and Roger's supposed to be 50.
Yeah. So there's a
12-year gap.
This is what, 4 years? 5 years after the first.
Yeah, around 5 years after the first.
So he would be 55 and Riggs would be like 43.
Yeah. And so, he's still got a career left in him. But, he's basically, they cry, they embrace. They're like, I got, without you on the force, like, I'm no good. I was almost no good before I met you, Like, you put me on the straight and narrow, man. You helped me level me out.
Saves his life.
Yeah.
Basically.
But
I mean, it's an interesting dynamic. Something that you kind of alluded to. There is kind of a social message. This movie's fresh off the heels of movies like Boys in the Hood, Menace to Society is right around this time. Of course, you've got Straight Outta Compton has since been released, which is very, inflammatory against the police and police injustices. Rodney King happened while this movie was in production.
Yeah.
The LAPD is very much kind of, they've been vilified nationally, if not internationally. I mean, they never caught good PR, but they are probably at their nadir point of PR.
Yeah, it was not a good time.
So when, they've got the cop killer bullets at the time where, popular music is, you've got Ice-T talking, his big song is Cop Killer.
Yeah.
It's timely, but the thing is it doesn't really focus on, like, it brings it up.
Yeah.
But it doesn't, I think they kind of half-assed it. Like, nobody comes to see this, like, Lethal Weapon movies.
Well, I think that's an overarching problem with Lethal Weapon 3. Like you were saying, is we get the inverse of, we get Raj kind of filling Riggs' shoes in terms of being the depressed alcoholic guy who needs saving. Only problem is that's there for like a scene, and they never really focus on it. Again, they have like their cry fest, they hug it out, and that's it. And then everything is like, okay, well, now we got the third act.
Everything's
great.
gravy.
The bad guys.
Yeah.
And the first two Lethal Weapon movies, it's never that easy.
After they bury Nick's friend.
Yeah,
they're like, all right. They're like, go find the guy.
And there's no resolution like with the parents or anything.
Yeah.
It's they're all cool. Everything's cool.
It's
everything's
all
wrapped up in a neat bow, and
just kind of almost cheap motivation.
Yeah, and the thing with the third act is like, it's fucked to say, but like, it's obvious that like Mel Gibson is like, the star, like the star of the movies. This is like the third movie. It's like the third act of this film is very much the Riggs show.
Oh yeah.
Now you could say that about Lethal Weapon 2 as well, but that goes with what's happening with Riggs' character.
Riggs
is on a crash course.
Yeah.
Where this one, it's very much like, it's.
I mean, it's kind of always the Riggs show, to be fair.
Yeah, but again,
he's the one busting like drug dealers that are selling Christmas trees. He's the one that's going berserk on a fucking South African boat.
Yeah, but again, it makes sense for like the story they're telling.
Yeah.
So if the story was to make sense in this, like it would have made sense for.
Well, it's
it's
more personal for Murtaugh.
It's Murtaugh's story, to tell in this one, and they dropped the ball in my opinion in that.
Sure.
And like you said, with the social commentary, it's like, yeah, we'll introduce it, but and in the end, it's like, well, Riggs will just use a cop killer to kill a cop killer or an ex-cop, so they can say ex-cop killer, and it'll all be taken care of.
That's what. Yeah, they're building to that.
They're building to that line.
Yeah.
How do we get to ex-cop killer? Oh,
yeah.
That's the pitch meeting for Lethal
bullets.
Weapon 3. Yeah, and like you're saying, this is the first one without any Shane Black. You know,
No,
it's
there's-
all
yeah,
just
there's-
based on his characters.
Yeah, because he had, I guess he was dissatisfied how Lethal Weapon 2 went.
Yeah, he
And
wasn't happy with how they decided to keep Riggs alive. That was the big
he's
thing.
like, it's not supposed to be. I guess it was never, in his eyes, supposed to be a franchise.
No. I mean, like we said on the first one, like that was supposed to end with them kind of parting ways. You know, going their separate ways.
Yeah.
But no. So
Whereas this one is like the counter. It's like, would they need each other? You
yeah,
know?
yeah, and also we get Jeffrey Bone back, who worked on the rewrites for 2, who
Yeah.
did The Last Crusade.
Sure.
Also The Phantom. Also rest in peace. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like a lot of this one is just dropping the ball. It starts off pretty solid for a
It
Lethal
does.
Weapon for a
It does.
Lethal Weapon film.
Honestly, up until the bad guy shows up.
Oh, the bad guy's one of the worst, man.
Because
Or I would say is the worst.
you know, it picks up. It's the fucking like the bomb explodes. That's great. It's a great little prologue to it all.
Yeah.
The car chase that kicks off after they're demoted to beat cops.
Yeah.
Like in the most temporary demotion ever, by the way.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you learned your lesson. Good. After you did one car chase, you guys are fine.
You unearthed some serious shit. Okay.
Sweet. Yeah. Back to detective.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Get that man bun out. We want to see those flowing locks, Gibson.
Yeah.
But also another thing that like to focus on what this movie's kind of not firing on all cylinders in terms of like it introduces characters that 1 you don't care about,
Yeah.
2 they don't feel lived in, and 3 they're either never mentioned or killed. They're used for cannon fodder.
Like Discount Ryan Reynolds.
Discount stocky Ryan Reynolds. We meet at the shooting range. Who's like, hey, the young cop who idolizes Riggs and Murtaugh.
Yeah.
Cool. Hey, they even have the foreshadowing of introducing the cop killer Bullet in front of him, which will kill him later in the movie.
Yeah.
And then what's her face? The
Lorna.
yeah, who's obsessed
Renee
with
Russo.
Oh no, yeah. But then also the what's her face? The big black lady.
Oh, and the car chase.
Yeah,
who is the worst part of the car chase?
worst part of the car chase, and also is obsessed with Murtaugh, and then that's it.
Yeah. If you argued that the movie goes downhill after she's introduced, I would not disagree with you.
Yeah. But then we get we get the returning of Leo Getz, which
Who was not in the original draft.
wasn't really necessary.
Yeah. For some reason, they're like, oh, he's in My Cousin Vinny. He's done like 2 Home Alone movies.
Yeah.
This dude's box
Won
office goal.
Won an Oscar for Goodfellas.
Yeah.
Let's bleach his hair and bring him back as Leo Getz.
Yeah. Yeah. Leo,
Yeah.
get the fuck out of here.
But like you were saying, we do get Renee Russo in this one, which is
I feel like they were like, let's give Riggs a love interest and not kill her off. Though
because we've already done it kind of twice.
Yeah, in the last movie. Because they basically kill off his wife again. They're like, "Oh, I was the one that killed off your wife," and it's like, I don't know how I felt about that revelation. You guys talked about it like last time. But yeah, I was always kind of like, did that have to?
Yeah,
You've already motivated him by killing off his new girlfriend, arguably his first one since. But yeah, I mean, and I feel like they kind of whiff on that too, because she gets shot in the end by the big bad using the cop killer bullets, but it's fine because she double wrapped,
which is like one of the dumbest like reveals.
Yeah, because 1, you can tell if somebody's wearing a bulletproof vest.
Yeah,
Much less 2.
yeah,
Second off, earlier in the film when they introduce the cop killers, they shoot through both layers of a bulletproof vest like it's fucking paper.
yeah.
You know, and it's like, well, in that case, it would still shoot her.
Yeah.
It wouldn't get, you know, it's kind of dumb. It's a cop out.
It's an ex cop out. But yeah, I don't know. Like,
what are your memories of Lethal Weapon 3? Like, you know, obviously you grew up with the entire, series. Would that be the one that you were kind of like, okay, it's time for Lethal Weapon 3? Or would you just skip straight to 4?
It was one where, like, honestly, I didn't watch 3 for the longest time. And it wasn't like necessarily because I was like, fuck this movie, but I was just like, I don't know, man. Like, everyone always says this is the weakest. It was the last of the series that I saw, much like Chris, because the first of the series I saw was 2. I feel like it was 2 way back when.
I think it was probably 4 was the last one I saw, but I had that much. I had 6 years between this and 4 to catch up.
Yeah, it's just the movie is. There's a good Lethal Weapon movie in there somewhere.
There is. There's just too much like trappings, or there's too much salad dressing.
Yeah, salad dressing.
Yeah, and I fucking hate salad dressing.
Do you really?
I do.
You don't have like a favorite salad dressing?
No, I just take it dry.
Really?
Yeah.
That's the saddest
What's the
thing in
nutritional
world.
value of salad if you're just gonna
Well, I
drown
don't
it
need
in-
I don't need salad for nutritional value
Oh, then why do you eat salad at all?
because the dressing tastes good.
So it's just a vessel for dressing.
Yeah, it's just a vessel for dressing. Hey, blue cheese, get over here.
Just
Hey, ranch, get over here.
you know, you can have blue cheese with like buffalo wings.
I do. You've seen me.
I have.
But ranch is good.
But
Lethal Weapon 3 kind of sucks, guys. I'm just talking about ranch
yeah,
instead.
but yeah. So this was the one that you kind of like unconsciously avoided. Or?
I think so, because I never heard anything good about this one. You know?
Yeah. I mean, there's good. Like I said, I enjoy the film.
I do too.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
but it's just it's very
you know
much
what?
the
So's
weakest.
Die Another Day.
Yeah, but it's very much the weakest of the Lethal Weapon movies. Although a lot of people come up to me and they're like, "Fuck you, 4 is the worst."
No.
I think critically 4 is received as the worst.
Yeah, which is
which means fuck owl.
Yeah, there's things I like about 4 that don't exist in 3.
Yeah, no, 4 is just a better 4 is just a better movie overall. Can we also talk about real quick something that I never really think about until, like I said, doing your homework, watching these movies?
Yeah.
Martin Riggs, combat vet, expert sharpshooter. How many years in the force? Almost a decade.
Yeah.
Selfless service,
Martial artist,
lover, animal lover, gasoline expert.
Yeah, he can identify the brand of gasoline. Just
guzzling. Sorry,
yeah.
thank you, Chris. It's guzzling.
Yeah, just by tasting it, he can be like, "Oh, this is Exxon." Ugh. Like
Yeah.
it's like the lesser of gasolines because I guess this movie's sponsored by Shell or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird. Though I feel like the dog biscuit thing is probably the most iconic thing to come out of 3. If you want to go that far.
I mean, I'm trying to think of like iconic moments in Lethal Weapon 3 because all the moments that you remember are watered down moments that were callbacks to.
Yeah.
Because I took
even
some
straight up
notes for this.
to even the ending is a parallel to the opening of 1.
You get the ending of this movie is almost an exact opening to the first film because he's thinking about retiring in the beginning of the first movie. This one, he's supposed to be retired, and surprise, he doesn't retire. It's also funny, like there's just like a little nod moment where he's like, "You didn't come to my party, Riggs," and it's like even if Riggs thought or knew he wasn't going to retire, it's still like a dick move. Like all the other cops are there. His partner, like his fucking bromance of all bromances, and Riggs doesn't show up.
Yeah. But no, I mean, yeah, it starts out with him in the tub, like the first one opens. How do you feel about the big bro out moment between? I feel like that's a divisive moment for some
On the boat.
Well,
because it has that moment where they break down, like they're yelling, they're fighting, they're yelling, they're crying, and then they embrace, and they do that like half, almost I'm going to punch you, but we're going to embrace and cry in each other's arms. It's a nice moment, but it really does feel like, let's throw this in there so we can just move on with the rest of the movie.
It's as much an emotional consequence to the entire film that we get, because when the guy that idolizes Riggs and Murtaugh dies, they're just like, oh, well, shit. And then that's like Riggs goes around like firing both pistols from the hip. That's his immediate response. That's what's gonna happen.
Just the Mel Gibson, I'm gonna kill him. I'm gonna kill him,
I'm
Rod.
gonna eat your arm. It's like, eat your arm?
Yeah. Why just one arm? We do get some other things that are watered down versions of things that we love from the first two. We get what I like to call the Lethal Weapon roll, which is Mel Gibson rolling on the ground while firing a gun.
Yeah, it's real quick in this.
Yeah,
yeah.
Which is fucking pointless to do.
It just looks cool.
It almost doesn't even look cool. That's the thing, you know what I mean? Like, it's just him rolling on the ground like a fucking toddler. We get the return of the Leo rant, which we'll see in 4 as well.
Oh boy.
Yeah. We get something that Roger doesn't have very many of his own things, but he cracks his neck on like everyone, like when he's going to make that kill shot.
Yeah.
The most famous, of course, being Lethal Weapon 2. But we get moments of that in here. We also get when Riggs tries to teach Raj how to kick, and it's like the worst failed kick you'll ever see of a guy who's supposed to be like a hand-to-hand expert and a cop, but he uses it at the end, knocks the guy out, and he's like, that really does work, and then blows him away with a cop killing Uzi.
Yeah, he's like, good, on, and kills him just pretty hard.
We get moments of
that. No, as a fun fact for you listeners at home, that subdivision that they're fighting in the climax of 3 was like an abandoned subdivision. So they're like, oh, so we can wreck the shit out of this and nobody will really mind. So that was nice. I feel like between that, using that, and the old Orlando City Hall scheduled for demolition, it was like, well done, Dick Donner.
Yeah, well done, Dick Donner. Well done. We do get a Commodore 64
with the Three Stooges game.
Yeah, AVGN will be so pleased to see that in there.
Yeah, what do you think of the Riggs Lorna romance? Do you feel? Do you think it needed to be?
I mean,
there?
Sure. Give it to Riggs. You know, he earns it. He deserves it. You know, because because again,
it pays off more in 4.
Yeah, like you were saying, they almost do the unthinkable where they kill her again in the end, and you're like, every woman around this man dies.
Yeah. I do like where they show each other's their scars that they've gotten over the years.
And there's a bit of continuity in this one where there are moments where Leo's talking about the drug dealer crashing through the house in the beginning where he's showing it off. You know, when Riggs is looking over the scars. You know, there's plenty of scars, mostly from Lethal Weapon 2, especially the knife in the thigh and the bullets in the back, because he gets fucking lit up.
Yeah, I mean, he's supposed to die.
Yeah, a clip is empty. But the sharing scars scene is interesting. But overall, as like the relationship between them, you know me, man. Like I love like the loner. You know.
Yeah, I will say when he thinks she's dead, that's the only time we really see Berserk Riggs in this movie.
Yeah.
Though he gives us the crazy eyes multiple times that he's known for.
Yeah.
But the only time he really goes off the chain is when he thinks Lorna was shot by the big bad.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, good, I got cop killers, and shoots through a fucking... Here's the thing. Somehow cop killer bullets in Lethal Weapon 3 land can shoot through a fucking, like, construction... Bulldozer, like, plow. But
and
two bulletproof vests.
While Riggs is shooting with the normal gun at the bulldozer and it's bouncing off, he's going, he's, the fucking worst villain in Lethal Weapon history. He's like, we're coming to get you, Riggs. You're going to die, Riggs. No more on the payroll, Riggs. Killed in the line of duty, Riggs. And it's just like, fuck off.
He talk even when he like first shows up, he's like, hey, he's like, hi, bye, see ya. And it's like, this dude sucks.
And then we're introduced to the fact that he was a cop.
He looks like, it's like, oh.
Which is the Skyfall moment, of course.
I guess. But it's like, oh, he's the LAPD's dirty little secret. It's like, no, that's Rodney King, and that's not a secret anymore.
Yeah.
Like,
nobody gives a shit about this guy. They don't ever, there's never like any moments where like we get in Lethal Weapon 1, we get in Lethal Weapon 2, we get in Lethal Weapon 4, where they like actually talk to the bad guy and have like, the classic kind of like, the repertoire of like repertoire.
Yeah. And then
of them like that was me going on a limb.
Yeah.
With the bad guys.
Yeah. This guy's just like discount John Ratzenberger. I half expect him to walk on the fucking Cheers.
Yeah. Tell us a fact in the Cliffy Clavin Boston accent. That would be something.
Would you call him the weakest of the 4 main antagonists?
Oh yeah.
One, because he's not Jet Li, South African, or
Gary Busey,
Mr. Joshua.
Mr. Joshua. Yeah. Well, Mr. Joshua is just fantastic.
Yeah.
It's the day of Christmas as he shoots the TV. But I don't know, man.
What do you think this movie does right?
I think
pause.
Shit. I think I don't know. It's gonna come off like I really hate this movie and I don't, but. I don't know. It keeps the chemistry together of Riggs and Murtaugh, but that's not difficult because Mel and Danny have such a great chemistry already.
Yeah.
Again, in the end, adding Rene Russo is a good thing for what we get in 4.
Yeah.
Because there are big payoffs for Riggs. Because Riggs finally gets a happy ending in 4.
Yeah, and I like the houseboat sequence in 3.
Oh yeah, with the two of them, like
in 3, it's fine.
Crying over it, and
I like the climax. I mean, it's an okay climax. It's not as like no holds barred as 2.
Yeah. You get kind of the double ending again, where it ends with fucking Riggs falling off of a unconstructed road. And that's where you get the "now I'm pissed, Raj," which you get from the first one.
Relocates puts his arm back in his
socket. There you go.
socket.
Puts his shoulder back in his socket. We get plenty of the "do we
beast
go on"
mode when that happens.
Beast mode. Do we get plenty of the "do we go on 3," which almost gets Rene Russo killed. But I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I think at the end of the day, adding Rene Russo was a good thing for what we get in 4. Because I don't know. I'm not even that big of a fan of hers in this movie.
Well, yeah. Like I said, it really pays off in 4.
Yeah.
Because by then...
Is everything that 3 set up, all the good things in 3 that are set up in 3...
The only thing that's set up in 3 that pays off in 4 is Rene Russo.
Well, I mean, keeping Leo gets around.
Sure, yeah. I guess, if he wasn't in 3, he wouldn't show up again in 4.
Yeah,
in the original script for 2, or for 3, they explained that he moved to New York, and it's like, who cares?
Yeah.
He's just some guy that you protected from South Africans. Awesome. Yeah, but he moved off to New York City.
He's family now, as they say in this one.
Yeah, at least he's not talking about Froggy.
Yeah, we'll get to Froggy. We'll have a whole podcast about Froggy.
Yeah.
We'll talk to Chris about Froggy.
What do you think is the most heinous thing about Lethal Weapon 3? Is it just that it's like discount Lethal Weapon? Or
at the end of the day, yeah, discount Lethal Weapon.
It's just watered down.
Yeah, like I said, all the moments that we've come to love that are the reoccurring gags in the movies just feel, oh, that's right. We got to fucking have the shoulder scene. We got to have this or whatever. I mean, the shoulder scene is like almost just a non-thing because it's like, yeah, you just pop your shoulder back in.
Yeah.
But I don't know, just
I don't mind the shoulder.
Well, 3 is it sounds insane, but 3 is the only one where Raj's family's not put in immediate danger and their house isn't busted up.
Yeah.
That's such a staple of the Lethal Weapon movies, and it adds so much more to like the Lethal Weapon plot of whichever 1, 2, or 4.
Yeah, I think if Raj's house was under threat again, it would kind of build to the suspense of they want to, because the subplot, one of them in Lethal Weapon 3 is they're trying to sell the house.
Yeah,
they're trying to get out, and if somebody busted it up, I think that would add to that tension.
Yeah,
but I mean,
again, they were probably trying to get away from it.
Yeah.
Like we did it in the first 2.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of like Indiana Jones, where like, you get Raiders of the Lost Ark, huge hit, massive. Temple of Doom's like, let's not repeat everything we just did.
Yeah.
Not as popular.
The only callback is when Indy reaches for his gun and it's not there.
And then, which is funny because that means we're led to believe it's a prequel. And that happens pre-Raiders of the Lost Ark.
He probably kills lots of people.
Yeah,
like
no, but like
the
the him not having the revolver there.
Yeah.
And then of course Last Crusade's like, well, let's, which is something you would never think you'd hear. Let's bring the Nazis back because it's it fucking for Indiana Jones. You get Last Crusade, which is just a fantastic movie.
Yeah, it's my personal favorite, but I mean. It's weak villains.
Yeah.
Also, they tie the gangbangers to corrupt LAPDers.
Yeah.
So it's trying to like have your cake and eat it too. It's like, we get it. Rodney King was fucked up. And it really was. Terrible, terrible, terrible.
Yeah.
And guess what? The LAPD guys behind it, they're in league with gangbangers. And it's like,
yeah.
They're just trying to like put all their eggs in one rotten basket.
Yeah, well, that's like finding out in Lethal Weapon 2, basically in our back-asswards way, that the South Africans are responsible for everything that happens in Lethal Weapon 1.
They are you made the Skyfall before Skyfall.
Yeah.
Lethal Weapon 2 is Spectre before Spectre.
Yeah. I know we made the reference of the guy who kills Riggs' wife is his Blofeld.
Yeah.
He sets everything in motion.
It was me all along.
It was
James.
me, Riggs. I was the one who crashed the car, pulled the moppy head of hair, and then strangled and or shot or stabbed your wife to death because we didn't specify how we killed her. Martin. They do reference the toilet scene, which is a classic, of course.
Yeah.
We're referencing, whatever. Because the guy who's taking a piss, the bomb squad guy, who they kind of fuck up in the beginning, he's the same guy who's there when they got the toilet scene in 2.
One of the few cops to survive Lethal Weapon 2.
Yeah, seriously. Because again, a lot of cops get killed in Lethal Weapon 2, and they're kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
Fine. And again, in Lethal Weapon 3, as you were saying, when the big bad kills the witness or whatever, or the guy in custody, nobody acts super bummed out or running around or like, oh shit, a cop or a guy was killed
There's
in
a dead
our
man.
fucking in our fucking facility.
Yeah. Is he still on the loose? And they're just like, oh. Shit.
Yeah.
This
we got like
things.
2/3 of the movie left before we have to catch him, and then we'll just kill him. At the end.
Yeah.
We'll shoot him with cop killers.
Yeah. It's what they believe their attempt at irony.
But yeah, I mean, so basically, that's Lethal Weapon 3.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's the one I remember the most, or not the one maybe I remember the most, but the one I remember first. Seeing like all the posters and the Leo gets bobbing up and down between.
How many movies? Because like in their minds are like fucking everyone loves Leo. How many movie goers like walk by the poster and are like, oh shit,
oh no,
oh no? It's like when what's his face? Is it Peppers or whatever?
J.W. Pepper.
J.W. Pepper comes back from fucking the
man with a golden gun.
Yeah. Wow, I bet the crowd went fucking wild when he showed up.
Yeah, well, the director, Guy Hamilton, was like, oh, audiences really responded to the sheriff character from Live and Let Die. Like, yeah, negatively responded, you fuck. Go back and direct Goldfinger.
Now, granted, Leo Getz is not that bad, but, you know, he's gone for most of the movie in this.
Which is fine.
Which is fine for Riggs and Murtaugh, too. They don't give a shit.
Yeah. Let him go make Casino. That's a better film.
Oh, yeah. Tis.
But yeah, you got any parting thoughts on Lethal Weapon 3
before
we lay it to bed?
This is probably going to be the shortest of all the Lethal Weapon podcasts.
Sure.
But, no, I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's still a Lethal Weapon movie.
Yeah.
It's still enjoyable.
It's still fun.
Got a great opening, minus the James Bond weirdness.
Got a great ending.
It's got a great...
It is the only Lethal Weapon film with a post-credit
scene. That's right. You get both of them yelling their old tool for the shit at the same time. And the chemistry's still there. I think, as Sam said, the boat scene where they kind of like...
It's the only emotional payoff you get in the film.
Yeah, which is a bummer, but it's there. It's there. So that's enjoyable.
I do like the little nods that like Roger's getting older because I mean he was too old for this shit 5 years ago.
When he accidentally discharges his weapon
in the locker
and Riggs, being the bro that he is, like just freaks out to get everyone out of there.
Yeah.
You know, because he doesn't want again core shit, the friendship. You know, the core of the Lethal Weapon movies, in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely.
And Riggs doesn't want Murtaugh to be embarrassed.
Yeah.
Because he has too much respect for Murtaugh.
Is that the problem with 3? They don't really focus on the friendship as much as they should.
They don't, because remember when we were watching it, I was like, this is probably my favorite fucking scene in the movie, where he does it. He sticks up for Raj, and you know the look on Raj's face of embarrassment. He's like, I'm not going to let this dude be embarrassed with I don't know how many couple days left on of what it was supposed to be at the end of his career, you know. And like you said, call back to the boat sequence so much. It's like, you know, there's very few of the friendship things. Yeah. And I think part of that is the good and bad of introducing Rene Russo. Like you said, trust us, the payoff is there in 4, but like...
Because 4 is all about family.
Yes, and that's what makes 4 great for me. Yeah. Because it is everybody.
Yeah.
All these people you've come to love and know, even Leo, like...
It's his best film.
It is. And they have
it's not the best Lethal Weapon film he's in, but it's his best performance.
And four is just fucking fun, man. 4 is a love letter made to the Lethal Weapon.
It's a pleasant
fans.
Goodbye.
Yeah, and talk about a fucking opening. We're gonna tease you for that one because we're not gonna talk about that.
Yeah, it's coming up.
It's coming up because it's fucking some fun shit.
Yeah,
but
Jake and Chris will regale you with tales
of flamethrowers and Jet
Li.
But yeah, this has been another episode. Do you have any final thoughts on Lethal Weapon 3, Samuel?
No, I think we covered it. Again, it's the weakest, but it's still a good time.
Yeah,
you know,
it still is. We still have fun watching.
Yeah, you know, and again, personally, it's the first one I remember seeing all the shit for. So yeah.
Chris, even though you're not on mic, good, bad, or indifferent to Lethal Weapon 3 because this is the first time you saw it. So. Okay, more of a thumbs up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like a C plus, B minus.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, it's still Lethal Weapon.
Yeah.
But that's it, kids. At the end of the day, it's still Lethal Weapon.
Yeah, at least it's not another 48 hours because that movie sucks.
That's right. But Sam, as I said to Mike, and I am saying to Kevin because I didn't come up with it till I said it to Mike, you, sir, will not die on a toilet.
I hope.
Not because of a bomb and angry South Africans.
It'd be a bomb of my own making.
Yeah, and not because of angry South Africans. But thank you for coming on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
No problem.
All right.
It's another episode of Guys Like Us Don't Die in Toilets, Lethal Weapon 3. Check it out. Thanks for listening, guys. Bye.
Adios.